to access the power of your career type. I'm Veronica Chase, excited to have you here today. I thought I'd start with the energy of the day. I think it's always interesting to take a look at what is going on in our environment. So today, the sun is in the 37.5. And what this means is that the sun is active in the trait of friendship and family. The 37 is part of emotional intelligence. So you may have noticed not just these last several days, but even for several weeks before this, because the sun has been focused on various traits within the emotional intelligence function. You may have noticed just a lot of emotions, all kinds of emotions, happiness, sadness, anger, just upset, all kinds of emotions. The trait 37 is in the fifth quality today as well, which is love. So, kind of this natural affection for family. When we look at the energy of the day, we look at the conscious personality. So those are the black lines within the design. So when I'm looking at this today, the other thing that I notice is that there are two strengths that are also formed. So anytime two traits come together, they form a strength. So we have the 3740, which is community. And that's a strength that must be recognized and invited. It's a projector strength. And this is all about contracts and bargains and finding your people and tribe, which I just think is interesting, right? That I'm doing this webinar today and this idea of finding your people and tribe, right? That's what we're doing, I would say, when we come together in this community to do this work. The 3536 is also active today, and that's the experiencer. That's a manifesting strength. And this is really about trying to do anything to move you in the direction of progress. I have the 35 in my conscious grounding, so I know this trait very, very well. And I did mention before that, we're in this fifth line quality day. And that kind of adds like another flavor and dimension to things. A fifth line day is about being practical. It's also seductive. It can be about heresy and being the messenger. So because it's a practical day, we're going to be conditioned to just want to do something and take action. We're not going to be really satisfied, right? In a sense, to just sort of take a back seat and think about things. We want to move it forward. It's a day to lead and communicate and meet with strangers who may provide practical solutions. The thing to always keep in mind as well, that our profiles always remain in place, right? Sure, we are interacting with the transits on any given day, but the degree of which something is happening can vary significantly depending upon what is also active in our designs. So this to me is what I found so interesting when I got involved with BG5 Human Design for Business back in 2020. So I'm a 4-6 classic builder. I have a follow your gut strategy, and my life work theme is consciousness, just to give you a few highlights of my design. I have multiple certifications with BG5. I'm a career and business consultant, a business cycles consultant, profit potential coach, and an instructor for the Institute. My foundation semester 1 course is starting on March 8th, which is next Saturday. I also just shared a little bit more information about my background. I have worked in various roles around the field of human resources, leadership, learning and development. I facilitate workshops on a regular basis. I train leaders and managers still, like every day I'm doing that kind of work, and I'm also a career coach. I have various degrees, and I've just always been interested in personal and professional development. I feel like transformation, right? That life work theme of consciousness has always been a big part of my life. I've spent plenty of money over the years experimenting with different things. I mean, yes, I have formal degrees, but I also have a lot of certifications, including a lot of assessment tools just because of the nature of the work that I've done being in the field of human resources. So I know a lot actually about different assessment tools. And when I learned about this alternative method 5 years ago now, it really just changed the direction of things for me. The way I do my work, the way I think about my work. That is what we're going to be talking about today. What is BG5 and human design for business? So knowing and living from the power of your career type helps us in multiple ways. It ensures your personal health and well-being. It helps you to deal with these changing times that we're in. And it really brings perspective to the power of communication. I mean, like I said, I coach people on a daily basis. I see this literally every single day. The communication problems that people have at work and in their interactions with other people. So I think that, everything that we learn as part of the whole BG5 process is just so relevant to help people be successful, not just in their work, in their lives overall. So if you do not yet have your free career design chart, I recommend you head over there right now while I'm getting things kind of introduced here. Just go to the BG5 Business Institute webpage, or yes, our homepage on the website. And if you just go under reports, look for the free BG5 career design chart service. That's your free chart, the free basic chart that you can download. You need to enter your birth date, time, and location. Those are critical, right? You're not answering any other questions, but the exactness of this information does matter. Sometimes depending upon where you were born and when, the design can change significantly within just moments of whatever you think your birth time is. All right, so yes, please head over and download that for yourself now. What you'll find is that your career design, it's unique, truly. It's a personalized map for you that shows you how you're uniquely designed to operate in these changing times, how you can best interact and communicate with others for your personal and professional success. What are your natural gifts and talents for doing what you love? And what type of environment are you best suited to work in? We're very conditioned by the environment and our cultures about what we think we should or shouldn't be doing or what we can and can't do. But part of what we do in this process of really learning our designs is decondition from, all of those things that we've been told. So what is BG5? BG5 stands for Base Group 5. It's the official source of the career and business application of the human design system. So we maintain and share the original teachings with the intention of really bringing this to the world and really helping people attain their full potential and financial prosperity. The other thing to know is that we are the official certification institute. We train and certify consultants and coaches to use this information in their work. So interestingly enough, human design was identified as a top in trend only just back in 23 by the Washington Post. And it really is a personal and professional assessment tool that really helps you to just uncover your hidden potentials. I think the other thing to keep in mind too is that, there's a lot of, kind of noise and information out there when it comes to human design. And I really cannot emphasize enough that it is so important to be part of an organization that is connected to the source material, right? We're not just making this stuff up. This is the source material from Ra. The other thing to know is that we are part of this human design family that's focused on the source material. So again, I want to separate the work that we're doing here from all the other noise that's out there. So some of the other things that you see here, like Jovian Archive is the holder of the source information, right? That's where we get all of our information from. My Body Graph is a tool that anyone can use. Maya Mechanics is what we use as certified coaches and consultants. And there's other elements as well to this family of source material, and also all the work that's done at the International Human Design School as well, right? So we're part of that organization, or part of that family, I should say, of different elements of the source material of human design. So again, we are human design for business, and the goal of the Institute is really about giving you the knowledge and tools that are going to help you reach your fullest potential. So it's about aligning, learning, and applying. And we are the only school that offers the official BG5 Human Design for Business certification programs. And again, I think it's just so important to know that. So the question is, are you ready to thrive in your life and career? I'm going to talk about several key factors that really make this information so important, how this impacts our personal health and well-being, how it helps us deal with these changing times, and how it contributes to us understanding how we can have really powerful communications when we truly know ourselves. So to start with, when you tap into the personal power of your design, you have a whole new opportunity to thrive in your career. You know, prior to me stepping into this area of study in 2020, I mean, I did all kinds of things, right? I was a coach at that time as well. I've been a coach and a consultant for a long, long time in the field of human resources. But once I started learning about the specifics of my design and really paying attention to how I saw these things coming to life in my life and in my work and in my surroundings, it just changed the direction in which my life unfolded. So it really helps you to thrive. It helps you to remain healthy and vital because you really begin to see and better understand those shadows. I'm very fascinated by the shadow work. I think it's such an interesting aspect of human design to really work to uncover those things that we've been so conditioned to that we just do automatically. I've already shared about how it helps us to be more effective communicators, to learn what's correct of you, in you, also how you can support others, and also just reduce resistance in your life, live with purpose, and enjoy the success that comes when you live life on your terms. You know, the opposite side of this, and I can think back at various times in my life where, because of the way I was responding and reacting and choosing to do different things out of really ultimately my shadows, I didn't understand that then. But we really put ourselves at risk, especially when we just kind of keep at it, right? And we don't ever learn how to do it a different way. We risk health problems, burnout, depression, anxiety, overwhelm, endless stress, right? Exhaustion and unhappiness. I encounter people every day, all the time, again, even previously, of people who are just unhappy in their work. They don't know why. They want something else. They just don't know what that is. So, you know, such an important part of how I help them begin to understand themselves better is through their design. So we're in this major time of transition. We've been in the planning era, the era of planning, for over 300 years now. And this world that we live in, this environment that we're used to living in, is really forged on bargains and agreements and the tribe as a whole, right? We have these huge institutions, these collective agreements. If you think about all the things that have to happen every single day, all the agreements that people are making in these big organizations or even a small organization, of how they decide to come together every day and say, yes, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make this happen. You know, we're going to build this bridge. We're going to build this skyscraper, and all the other things that happen every single day here. That's from the era of planning. We are shifting into a new time in 2027. So the background frequency will shift. We have no control over this. It's simply going to shift, and it's going to begin to change the dynamic. The one thing that I like to say, though, is it does switch, right? But it's not like we're going to wake up that morning and everything is just going to be different. It is going to be a process of unfoldment, just like in the era of planning. It's not like, you know, we achieved it all back in 1615, right? It took hundreds of years for the era of planning to come to its full fruition. The same thing will happen in the era of the individual. But this is going to be more about your self-empowerment and knowing your unique gifts and trusting yourself and doing the work that you're really meant to be doing and knowing what that is and going out and pursuing it. And to me, again, given all of the different assessments that I have used over the years, knowing your BG5 human design for business design is, I can't see it as anything other than critical for knowing who you really are and how you're meant to work in the world. I talk all the time about self-awareness. This to me is the most important thing that I essentially work on for myself every single day. As we shift into this age of the individual, the most vital knowledge above all is to know yourself. And to me, this is just something that keeps unfolding in my life. It's not like, oh, well, I've reached this particular age and now I totally know myself. No, I keep learning new things every single day about myself, and certainly within my design, and how these elements continue to show up depending upon what I'm doing and who I'm interacting with. So in BG5 terms, this means operating according to your unique type and your decision-making strategy. It's about your inner authority, not about your mind. We need our minds, obviously. Our minds are very important, but our minds are horrible for making decisions, and that's where we get off track. These are the types of things that you learn in BG5, and certainly in Foundation Semester 1 and 2, which is the starting point of the education that we offer. So Ra Aruru is the founder and messenger of the human design system. And this quote, we have many quotes from him, obviously, but he said, learning human design isn't the same as living it. And I just love that quote from him because, learning it is certainly important to that whole thing of self-awareness, but it isn't just about learning it, right? You got to live it. You've got to notice what's happening. Why am I feeling this way today? What's going on in the transits? What's happening over here? Essentially, what am I broadcasting out there into the world? So much of this is unconscious and nonverbal, right? Over 93% of our daily communications are nonverbal. So the extent to which we are aligned and operating to our design really determines the clarity of the communication. Like I said to you before, this is probably the biggest thing I see from managers and leaders that I work with on a daily basis. There's just some sort of communication conflict and they don't know what to do about it, right? They don't know how to move it forward. So when we have ease in our communications, right, there's obvious flow. I always say, it's sort of that cliche statement of it takes two to tango, certainly when it comes to communications, right? If you and I are communicating about something and we're in flow, okay, yeah, we're in sync, right? We understand each other. We are creating essentially this clear signal between us, and there's this ease of communication. But then you think about when you have friction with somebody and how that causes chaos and confusion and upset in your communication dynamic. And, we talk about kind of these qualities that ensue by our design, depending upon essentially your type of design and this sort of static essentially that it creates. So when there's static, there could be anger, frustration, bitterness, and disappointment. When I first learned this, it really was such a light bulb moment for me to understand that, because I'm a classic builder, if I am experiencing frustration, that needs to be a signal to me that something is amiss. I got to remove myself from this situation and decide what to do next rather than keep at it, keep pushing, keep demanding, keep making something happen. That ultimately doesn't lead to the best outcome for me, right? Because that's just my mind thinking that that's what I have to do. So, again, this distortion that can occur is interesting to understand about yourself. And I've learned now very quickly, as soon as I notice that frustration creeping in, and, there are many levels, right, for all of us that happen before we get to full on anger, full on frustration. There are many, many steps towards it. And now this whole thing of catching myself sooner before I reach full on frustration has been nothing but absolutely eye-opening. So your career type is the foundation of your communication style. So if you're a builder, as I am, we have this open and enveloping style, right? We walk into a space, whether there's people there or not, we are kind of taking it all in. And, we also, builders might also be, generally more willing to, sort of interact with others a bit more quickly, even if they don't know them, right? A smile, eye contact, hello, good morning, that type of thing. Advisors are more focus and absorbing. You can see that in the image here, right? Advisors do great with these one-on-one interactions because they really like being focused and absorbed. And equally, they like to feel focused and absorbed, right, in what they do. My oldest daughter is an advisor. So it's been really interesting. I've been sharing her human design with her since she was like 16 years old. So it's been really interesting to see her grow into herself by really just understanding things in a whole new way. Initiators have this closed and impactful sort of style. So they're very contained. My younger daughter is an initiator. So again, it's very interesting for me to see how these things play out. Initiators, they really do make things happen, but part of what they have to learn to do is communicate to the people around them, but they're not necessarily inclined to do so because they know what they want to do. They're an initiator, right? They just want to go forth and do it. Um, but that's an area of opportunity for an initiator, right? And then evaluators are reflective and sampling. So their energy and communication style is really connected to the phases and the cycle of the moon. So, even just hearing that, an evaluator ideally, right, is never going to make some sort of snap decision about something. They are going to have to feel into the flow of the environment and exactly what's going on. So there are all these nuances across all of our different types. So I'm sharing here with you like four key aspects of our type. The healthiest way to utilize your personal energy for maximum results. So sort of what I was just sharing with you, right? By knowing your base career type and sort of the fundamentals of that interaction style, that alone will give you very important information in terms of how you go out there and interact in your work life. The other thing, like I was sharing a moment ago, is to know immediately, am I on track or off track? Like I said, now I know. Now I absolutely know instantly. Whereas before, I didn't know. My frustration level would really kind of keep escalating because I would keep pushing. All right, I would demand, I would try to make things happen. And I just didn't understand then that I was getting way off track. I have so much more flow and ease just by following, my sense of satisfaction rather than frustration. Then there's all the underlying mechanics that are tied to your success or satisfaction or peace or delightful surprise based upon your type. And then, absolutely key is that when you know your type, you can just communicate more effectively for better results. So, just to kind of give you a sense of how all of us function together out here in the world, initiators, which are really only roughly 8% of the population. So, sure, there's billions of people on the planet. It's still a lot of people, but day to day, you may not necessarily meet that many people that are initiators, but they're really here to get things up and running. Builders are here to provide the energy to move it along. As you can see here in this visual, most of the planet are builders. We're either classic builders or express builders. So like 70% of the population are builders. So the world is builder energy. So even if you're not a builder, you are absolutely being impacted by builder energy all the time. And that is also an important thing to know. Those are examples of things I've shared with my daughters again and again, right? How they're being impacted by the energy around them. Can they recognize it? And how do they, kind of protect what they also need to be successful in the work world? And evaluators, very small percentage of the population, are really here to tell us how well it's going or not. So understanding the energetic nature of your career type, again, is key. So builders, classic and express builders, we have this generative energy. And like I shared a moment ago, 70% of the population. All of the rest of the types are non-generative energy. So essentially, they're really here ideally to direct the energy of the builders, right? That's the sort of ideal flow. So what I'm going to do now is take you in a bit more detail about each of the types, each of the career types. So if you're a builder, whether you're a classic builder or um, uh, I just lost my train of thought there because I was just thinking about, okay, what has everybody, started pulling their designs and charts? Okay, so yeah, I'm just looking now at the chat. So I see we have like some advisors, express builder, that's the term I was just thinking about. So, kind of a mix of people. We generally do, right? There's a lot of builders out there. I often meet advisors and encounter advisors on a daily basis. And then, like I said, initiators to a lesser degree. So in terms of the builder energy, we have this natural generative style. And we're designed to go, go, go. So this can kind of be a funny thing. Now, I've met builders, and I have to say, even kind of previous to me understanding it, would I have said this? I don't know. Maybe I would have. I tend to definitely be a person who does a lot of things, right? I have a full-time position. I'm also an instructor for the BG5 Business Institute. I have coaching clients as well that I work with this work. So I do tend to have, let's say, a lot of balls in the air. An advisor, like if I even think about like my daughter's energy, now she's newer to her career. She just graduated from college a couple of years ago. So she's in her first career, in her first job. And, she wants to go, 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 but she'll often, when she does that, she'll often end up hitting a bit of a wall and just be dead tired, right? Because she's not doing enough self-care. Now, as a builder, I still also need to maintain my energy, right? And not I can't go, go, go endlessly. None of us can. But it's just sort of realizing what you're capable of. Like when you are, for builders, when you're doing work that you love and you love what you do, oh my gosh, you have so much energy, right? You just have so much energy. It's just because the flow is there. It's like, it's how you use this quality of your energy that's key. So for builders, the only way you can ever be truly satisfied is if you're using your energy in an effective and productive way. And like I said, just stop and think about that for the builders who are listening in right now or listening to the recording later on. If you do not feel satisfaction, like on a regular basis, it's so important to recognize that you have an opportunity to do something else with your energy. And I would say it's really important work to think about what that is, right? That is worth your time to think about, where should I be putting my energy? Is this the best use of this precious energy that I have? I'm not going to be here forever. I'm not going to have it forever. So what am I going to do with it while I have it and not squander all this energy that I have? I'm going to put it into things that are important to me. Now, looking at advisors, like I said before, advisors, they don't have generative energy. You're not designed to go, go, go. And you're also not designed to be doing all the doing. Your success really depends on having energetically healthy people around you who acknowledge your skills and offer you their energy so that you're really there to guide. So one of the things, for example, that I've really coached my older daughter on is, you're really here to become an expert in something so that you can become that guide, right? You don't just wake up and suddenly you're master of everything and you can guide everybody. You have to become an expert in something. So you're going to put your time and energy into something to become that recognized expert. But she can already see how that has happened, right? Because I was already telling her these things in high school and in college, and as she headed into her first position. But hey, I always say too, there's no time like the present. If you're just waking up to this and realizing this, then start today, right? What do I need to know about this today? And how can this impact my life? I mean, like I said, I only first learned about BG5 back in 2020. In the scheme of my life, my gosh, I'm surprised I didn't learn about it sooner. So for advisors, when recognized, you excel at organizing and leading others, groups and systems, and you have this natural talent to bring people together, maximize energy and resources. I really noticed that that in my daughter and other advisors that I've interacted with. They're just like natural organizers, like, hey, we got to do this. Can you do this? Can you do that? So if they're in a role where they can naturally do that, they're just going to be really successful. So, and also so key, I tell my daughter this all the time, like, you got to rest. Like, you seriously have to rest. Like, you cannot just go, go, go. Now, as far as initiator energy, you also don't have that generative energy, also not designed to go, 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 not designed to be doing all the doing, but you have this incredible gift and ability to act independently, initiate action, and impact others. And you'll have a real sense of peace when you can do your own thing in your own time. So, what we say here as initiators, they really get the ball rolling. They have these ideas, these concepts, these things that they want to kind of bring into the world. And they really need to ultimately communicate with other types to provide the information about what's needed, so that ultimately their vision can come to life. And then an evaluator, same thing, not generative, not designed to go, 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 not designed to do all the doing. When they're in the right environment, an evaluator is going to be able to give us that objective assessment. Now, again, we don't encounter evaluators necessarily all that often. So like when we have one in class, it's so great because we can learn so much from them, because you're just not likely to run into an evaluator on a regular basis. But maybe some of you know an evaluator, but they have such a unique perspective. And I've noticed through all the training that I've done through the Institute, like when there are evaluators in the trainings or they come on as a guest, I mean, everyone is just like focused and listening, right? We're just taking it in because it's like we really want to understand how an evaluator can help us, how they are here to really give us such important perspective about all this work, we're all doing. And they're really here to enliven and lift up the energy of others as well, right? Because they're giving us a sense of, well, are we on track or are we off track? So speaking of on track and off track, I just want to go into this a little bit more. So again, just to highlight for builders, when things are good and you're feeling satisfaction, then you are on the right track. Your body consciousness is saying you are on the right track. If you're feeling like she is on the right-hand side, and again, I've had many moments like that where I wanted to pull out my hair or I felt like I was beating my head against a wall, total frustration. Now I know, nope, not the right direction for me, not the right people, not the right environment, not the right thing to say yes to. Because again, I can remember that very distinctly. Saying yes to way too many things that were not the right thing for me because I was saying yes from my mind, saying yes because I wanted to please someone. I want them to like me. I want them to love me. I want them to respect me. I just want them to hire me, whatever, right? We have all this shadowy stuff that goes on in our minds about what we think we should be doing. But it ultimately, a big thing that we learn through this whole process is tuning into our body consciousness, right? Where am I feeling the yes? I have a gut response. Now I really understand what that is. And I know the feeling of what it feels like when it's correct for me and when it's not correct for me. Sometimes I'm not sure, but now I know if I don't have a clear feeling, I just don't take action. So I'm less inclined to go pushing or dumping my energy into a situation that really, again, doesn't warrant my energy. For advisors, what you're going to be feeling when you're on track is success. So just a feeling of, yes, this feels right. This feels good. I like what's happening here. I'm being recognized. I'm being invited. I'm saying yes to the things and being part of things that mean something to me. When an advisor is off track, there can be pretty intense levels of bitterness. And, all of us can have really intense, reactions, but the bitterness, think about how that can also just really get an advisor off track because they just don't understand like this basic element of their mechanics. I really was inspired to help my daughter really understand this, right? I didn't want her to enter her work life in with this feeling of almost like despair or bitterness, or just again doing the wrong things, and just not having the level of success that I knew she could have. And then for initiators, their dynamic is really about peace and anger. And I see this so clearly in my younger daughter. Now, when I have to say with her, with the peace, oh my gosh, that kid, I will say kid, she's 20. When she is peaceful, oh my gosh, the world could not be more perfect, just peaceful. She's so easy to connect with and talk to, and there's just such a flow to her energy. But if she starts heading on this path of anger, it's like it all stops. It all just comes to a stop. She doesn't want to talk to you, does not want to interact with you. Don't even bother her. Don't attempt to like get in her way. Just, it's best to leave her alone, right? So now again, she's also still pretty young. So I'm constantly trying to kind of point things out to her, coach her. Okay, what got you off track here? What were the things that were happening before you started feeling the anger? And that's part of what we do, right? When we're coaching people in this, we have to help them unravel all of these automatic behaviors that are often going on in us. And then an evaluator, when they're on track, surprise, like delightful surprise, like, how about that? Like that kind of surprise, right? Off track would just be disappointment, and think about, for any of us, like how it feels like when we're just deeply disappointed in something. It's just like, it just feels empty, you know? Like, just like, what am I doing? Like, it's just the whole thing is disappointing, and we don't even usually know what to do with ourselves when we're in deep disappointment about something. So I feel like these on track, off track indicators have been, so important for me to understand myself and my life. And I, use these a lot, talk about them often with my clients, because I do notice, it takes time to really connect with this, and you got to notice your behavior. Then you have to begin to unravel your behavior, and then you've got to actually change your behavior, right? So there are many steps to kind of unraveling all this conditioning that goes on in our lives. So what I'm sharing with you here are some of the underlying mechanics of our career design. So again, builders with that open and enveloping feel, they are here to really trust that the right people, opportunities, and things are going to come to them at the right time. And really, a builder, we just have to be open to that, right? I don't know when I'm out there in the world, right, interacting with people, or just I'm somewhere in an environment doing something. I don't know what's going to show up. I don't know what my response is going to be until I'm in it in that moment. So it's responding to what is right in front of you. For advisors, again, that focus and absorbing mechanic, this is about seeing and recognizing others, focusing in on one person at a time, and also that, like I said earlier, that they are seen and recognized by others. So an advisor needs to listen for the invitation from others. Because it can be really subtle, right? Because we might be, an advisor would be expecting maybe to hear it in a certain way, or is looking for a certain kind of recognition. So it could be missed. So there's still this openness, in a sense, that we all need to exhibit in order to connect with the mechanics of our design. For initiators, close and impactful. As you inform others, you train others around you how to inform you. So just by the nature of how they communicate with others, they essentially teach others, right, how to connect with them. Being informed and informing others is everything for the initiator. And again, if I think of my younger daughter, I've noticed this in her, especially when she was even just a few years younger. She didn't want to communicate. I don't want to tell them. No, I don't need to tell them that. No, even with me, right? She would just like not tell me things. I'm like, were you going to tell me that? Oh, I didn't really think I needed to. And she has to really learn that there's a benefit for, as an initiator, to communicate, not about everything all day long, right? She's not a builder, but about things that are impactful or could be impactful to others or to her in some way. And then evaluators, they are really here to trust actually in this feeling of having this inconsistent sense of self because their energy is sort of more diffuse. Like I said, it's, spread out right over a period of time where they're like taking in information. What am I noticing? What am I feeling? What is the feedback that I'm giving others? So it can just feel, well, as it says, inconsistent. So ultimately, what an evaluator has to learn is that they're really here to connect to everyone and everything. And, how to manage that is really what they're here to learn. A couple of other ways that we interact with each other, builders, asking them yes, no questions. This is so fascinating when you do this with builders. If I just start asking you yes, no questions, like, are you ready for this? Do you want to sign up for foundations? Do you feel like foundations is the next thing for you? Things like that, not open-ended questions, right? That would just be for a different kind of conversation. But you can really pull information right out of a builder very quickly when they're attuned to their self, to themselves, to their body consciousness. They'll just answer really honestly, in that moment. Advisors, it's about recognizing and inviting them, initiators, informing them, even when you're interacting with an initiator. I try not to question my daughter to death, right? Initiators don't like that. I'll look for stories or, just, oh, hey, we'll say more about that, right? I'm not like, well, what did you do? Where did you go? Who were you with? I don't do that to her. She does not appreciate that. But my advisor daughter doesn't mind it. And evaluators are here to really listen to their unique wisdom. So I kind of highlighted several different ways that your career type can support you. It has to do with your personal health and well-being, how you deal with these changing times, and also how it helps you to understand the power of communication. I want to just go into a bit more about foundations if you're thinking about signing up. If you want to learn more, just in general, right, about human design for business, make sure you're on our mailing list. We're sending out regular newsletters. There's articles being written, free webinar recordings. There's always a ton of information that we're putting out there in the world. Make sure you have your free report. If you want to go deeper, I absolutely encourage it. But you got to make sure you're with someone who is certified, right? Don't just say yes to anybody out there because they can really get you off track if they don't actually know what they're doing. What I've noticed when I've kind of looked at some of the various people out there talking about human design, what I notice is just that their knowledge is really surface. They can't really say more than just the most basic of information. And it's just because they don't have, I think, probably any depth to their studies, right? So we are all about like, kind of going deeper here and like understanding this in a much more comprehensive way. And, if you want to go deeper, signing up for foundations is key. Now, from a professional standpoint, you would start with foundations. So BG5 Foundations is 2 semesters. Here's a visual of the overall flow. So you're going to start with foundations over here, 2 semesters. And then if you want to become a consultant, that would be your next step, right? And that's 3 semesters. Then beyond that, these are additional things. So like I mentioned, I've done cycles and I've done profit potential. I have not yet done OC16, but I intend to, right? So, but equally, maybe you just want to start here for the sole purpose of learning about yourself and learning about others. And you're not sure if you want to do all these other things. And that is okay. You will still learn so much about yourself and other people and your dynamics and interactions with them that to me, this is 100% worth it. And I say it from experience, right? Everything I've shared with you today. If you want to become a consultant, these are some of the things that you can ultimately do. I mean, you learn a lot and, you can start charging for your services pretty quickly once you're pretty far along within that certification process. So you can do overviews and, multiple session analysis, ongoing sessions. I mean, a lot of my clients, I'll do like 12 coaching sessions, but that works for my type. I like seeing people through a long game and helping them achieve, a whole new level of success in their career. You might be more designed to work with someone in more of a short-term arrangement, right? These are all the things you'll learn about yourself. Should I work with leaders, or I want to work with leaders? What type of analysis would I do with them, or with them and their teams? Or maybe you do relationship work or couples work or just partnership work in general. You'll learn how to do that type of analysis, and overall full business analysis, ongoing coaching, and just the whole thing of what it means to engineer a team, right? These are all things we tap into in the certification. What you start learning in foundations are really the aspects of the 16 success tools that are really kind of the underpinning, right, of what it means to know and live your career type. And then it's in certification where you learn how to deliver this in a one-on-one session or in a group session. But in foundations, we're sort of going through all of the elements, and you're learning about all of the aspects of these things. So the foundations course is ultimately about understanding yourself and assimilating that information into your own life, personally and professionally. That has to be the first step, right? You must know yourself first in order to then successfully coach and consult others. You have to understand what this really looks like for you. It's also then about understanding others, personally and professionally, really learning all the elements of the career design chart and terminology. It's a bit of a new language, right? Just like you do any kind of specific study. So we're going to get immersed in that language of the design. And it also helps you to prepare for your professional studies. So, if you want to use this information with clients, as I said, the foundations is the first step to your professional studies. So in semester one, these are the elements that we'll be working on. We get really deep into career type. I gave you a pretty high level today, but I think still valuable information, right? Just even knowing it on a surface level can really begin to shift your perspective. We also get into all of the personal interaction styles, your decision-making strategy, which is key, key to everything. We're often saying, well, it always still comes back to your decision-making strategy. All right, you could do this, you might be good over here, you could do that, but what is your decision-making strategy tell you? And are you deeply connected to that so that you can confidently make decisions? We talk more about these signposts. There's a lot more layers, to it. The whole thing of assimilation is huge. How you take in information and process it. Can you do that totally by yourself? Or do you actually need to collaborate with others? Or is there yet some other aspect? Most of us have a collaborative assimilation where we really do need each other, and ultimately in order to assimilate information. Then we take a deep dive into all the functions, so the various aspects of our design and what that means, how we look at what does it mean to understand the healthy and unhealthy aspects of each of the functions. And then the shadow work, which I love getting into that, right? Where do we get off track? Where are we distracted? And how do we get ourselves back on track? So important. So my Foundations 1 is kicking off March 8th. There will be 10 2-hour sessions each week. So we're going to go to May 17th. I'm running this on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. my time. I'm on the East Coast of the United States. I live just sort of north of Philadelphia. So those will be running, for that period of time for 10 weeks. And then we're going to take about a month break for those that decide to buy the package. Usually between semester 1 and semester 2, I do those one-on-one career overviews with you as part of that package offering. In semester 2, we're going to go even deeper, right? We're going to look at the ways in which we work with others in terms of themes. We start to really dive into the strengths and all the language of the strengths. What what are our strengths? And, I think one of the things that's also fascinating about this, you and I could have the same strength. You and I could both be classic builders with a gut response with the same strength. But I can assure you the way it actually comes up and plays out in our lives is going to be different. So what about that, right? That's where there's just always so much to learn. And you can't just make flat out presumptions about how a strength shows up in somebody. And goodness knows with, all the clients now that I've done this work with, I see that again and again and again. And then we'll look, the strengths are when two traits connect together. We'll look in more detail at the individual expressions of the 64 traits. We'll get into those 6 qualities, right? I started off the session today saying we're in a 5th line day. There are 6 qualities. So the 37 that we're in right now, yeah, the 37. So tomorrow we'll be in the 6th line quality, right? And then the sun is going to shift again the day after that. So just knowing like the deeper nuances of the qualities, and then there's all the qualities in your design, which ones really stand out. And then we also get into the 12 public roles. That is also absolutely huge. The whole thing of your life purpose, your role in life. And again, how do you understand that for yourself? What does that look like? We look at all of these individual elements across the 2 semesters, but then we have to constantly keep bringing it all together, keynoting it. What is my experience of all of this? How do I see this playing out? So the second semester will start June 21st. So like I said, there'll be about a 1-month break between semester 1 and semester 2, and then we'll go to the end of August. So in total, we have the 22-hour sessions. So Carla is going to be my assistant for foundations, both semesters. This just shows you a little bit more information. It gives you that UTC time. Just keep in mind, we got that time change to deal with, right? So I think I always forget, like the US shifted the time, so ours might be later compared to other countries, but we'll make sure we keep you on track there. You always just want to double check. We keep the UTC time on the BG5 website for that exact reason, so that you know what the UTC time is and what your class time is as well. And then semester 1 and semester 2 are listed there. And then I just give you the highlights here of the package. If you know this is what you want to do, the package just makes the most sense. You're going to do semester 1, semester 2, you get a coupon code for a discounted complete report. If you already have a complete report for yourself, then you can plug someone else's information in there and still get that complete report for that person. So maybe a family member or something like that. You also get an online self-study as part of this package. The approach to emotional intelligence, very insightful. And then, like I said earlier, it includes a one-on-one with me, and I'm giving you your career design overview. So that's always fun for me. It helps me to get to know you better, and help you to also understand your design at in a whole new way. So my question for you is, BG5 Foundations right for you? If it is, then please do get signed up. If you have questions, you can email the office. You can contact me directly, Veronica@bg5businessinstitute.com. And either way, I wish everyone a fulfilling and abundant 2025. And I do hope to see you in Foundation Semester 1. Thanks so much for being here today, everyone. Take care.